Welcome back to But Why Though. Today we are reviewing The Wild Robot. As always, I'm Kate and I'm here with Raphael.
Hello.
And yeah, animation. It's been a good year for it. Really, really
Yes, it
happy with
has.
everything we've gotten so far. Raphael, why don't you tell people where you're from and then roll into what you expected from The Wild Robot?
I am from a few of the reviews on this very site. Uh, and my writings on Slash Film, IGN, a bunch of places. As for my expectations, so I don't know what I if I was expecting anything before I first saw footage of it.
Hmm.
Um, like I guess I was expecting like, oh, it's from Chris Sanders. It's gonna be at least interesting.
Yeah.
Um, But when I saw footage at the Annecy Animation Festival this year. They showed the trailer that was released online, but also they showed about the first 20 minutes. And just like I was blown away from the beginning. Even before I saw footage, Chris Sanders came out and talked about his goal for the movie was he wanted to he wanted the movie to look like the concept art, and he said
Hmm.
that at times he wasn't sure. He thought it was concept art, and then they click play, and the movie began. And he was like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "This feels like I don't believe you, sir." And then I saw the movie, and I was like, "Oh no, I believe you." So
Yeah,
yeah,
the
very high
blending.
expectations.
Yeah, the blending of mediums is really cool. I think for me, I didn't have I didn't have high expectations because I was like, okay, cool. Another parent kid movie. How many of these have we seen, especially from like all ages animation, like if from Western companies, Disney specifically. And like I feel at this point, like that type of animated movie has a formula. And so I went in
Oh
and
yeah.
I was like, it'll be cute. It's DreamWorks. I love DreamWorks stuff. It's fine. And then to get into like the things that we liked, I cried for half the movie, literally half the movie. There is a scene where the little gooseling Brightbill is bullied by other geese. And that was when I started crying. And I think like one of the things that was really interesting to me is when I walked out of the movie, I didn't know why I was crying. Like I didn't understand why like scenes that were so small were making tears come down my face. And then I was talking to another critic because I watched it at Fantastic Fest and I walked to the area to write and get my review up. And I was talking with him and he was like, "Do you have a step parent?" And I was like, "Yes." And he's like, "That's why you cried so much." And then it all kind of clicked. And I think that what this film does beautifully is that it really focuses on making you feel what's happening with the characters and it doesn't focus on doing like a whole bunch of exposition. It doesn't focus on like, oh, cool, what song can we sing, you know?
Hmm.
And it was just refreshing. Which I didn't even do the synopsis. Synopsis, a robot, like a helper robot in the middle of a tsunami falls into an island. And in that island, there's wildlife and everything. And this robot is named Roz, it is like programmed to perform tasks for individuals. And so she's walking through the forest, she's trying to figure out like what task she can do. And she accidentally kills a duckling's family. And then they're like, yo, that's your kid now. Feed it, get it to swim, make sure it flies by winter so it survives. And that's the film. Like that is the entire premise of it. And it's what it does with those three simple tasks that I think captures something beautiful. So what did you like about it overall? For
So
me, it
so
was that
st
narrative. So
starting with that, I feel like it's been a great year for movies about like parents who step up between Disney and
oh
Ultraman
yeah,
Rising,
yes.
which it makes me feel sad because like I really love we love that movie, and like come award season time is gonna be a thing, and like this is a
Hmm.
studio, and like I don't like that. But regardless, both movies did incredibly well in that. And even though I mean, I like that the baby from that movie more than like the Gosling here grows up really fast, which makes sense, I guess. But I feel like where that movie kind of made me feel more about the child, it was more of like, oh no, this is Ross's journey, I think.
Yeah.
A little bit more in a way. But you know that the whole parent dynamic, I think, was really well done because it's not just Ross learning to being forced and having to learn to be a parent, but just like becoming more human as she
Yeah.
starts to reprogram. The language is like, oh yeah, I just reprogram myself. Like, oh, and she starts to feel like empathy towards beings, and she's going beyond what she's supposed to do. I think she has a really interesting journey to the film, and then like in terms of what I like it looks gorgeous. This movie looks
Yeah.
incredible. When I said before, like, yeah, I do really like there are many moments where like you hit pause and you leave for 5 seconds and you come back and, oh, this is a screensaver. This is like concept art on like a
Yeah.
Blu-ray menu. No, that's how the movie looks, and it looks
It's
amazing.
I think like going back to like your point of like one Shun or Ultra I keep saying Shun, Ultraman Rising and The Wild Robot is a perfect double feature. Like
Oh yeah.
it's both sides. It's motherhood and fatherhood. And I think that like what was interesting because Ultraman Rising, I think that that's still my favorite movie of the year or favorite animated movie of the year, but I think what it does for me is it kind of spells out everything that you're getting. You know that Ken is working to be a dad and having to learn how to do it. And he knows that. And I think what I love about
Right.
this movie specifically, and this is like, I didn't think it was gonna work with me because I don't want kids. Like I'm never gonna have a child. I like that is not in my future. That being said, there is so much candor around the messiness of parenthood and like just making it up. There's that possum who's like, oh well, one of my kids
Yeah.
died. And it's very it's funny. And I think that some people wouldn't understand that. But I like the women in my life who have become mothers love their children deeply. But there has been a shift to understanding that you don't have to be happy all the time and you don't have it is not like we are not given this natural maternal instinct. It is something you have to learn and you have to fight against your own thoughts. You have to change who you were before. There is pre-baby and after baby, and I think this film really wonderfully captures that because I do think that there is something special about a parent who chooses that change. And I remember when my mom was taught, like, as I got older, my mom was talking to me about my dad, who's my stepdad. She was like, when I got married to him, he had to learn how to be a dad. He had to learn that, like, oh, he didn't eat first. You served your kid first, and then you served me, and then you ate. And it was like those little things. And I think this film does it in a very relatable way, a very fun way, a way that fits for the movie, but it also never loses kind of that weight. And I think that there is something to be said for Roz's ability to also let go in the film. Like when her and Bright Bill have problems, Roz doesn't force Bright Bill to come back or love her. She's just like, okay, like I understand. And I think that that is, I don't know, man. This movie hit me, and I didn't expect it to.
No,
It's smartly
I think
written.
that last point, I think that's what makes it so smart that it's a robot. It's not like Ultraman Rex. It's not a guy who doesn't have the
Exactly.
experience but knows what a parent is. Rose has no idea what any of this is.
Hmm.
Uh, like I you said, like she doesn't conscientiously like understand that she's training to be a mother until like way later. She's like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm helping, but it's a small client, but it's still a client. Um,
yeah.
so that makes it so smart in both making her journey mm, like both to make the subtext into text because you are seeing that journey literally in her reprogramming to what you're saying,
Hmm.
but also in fact that she acts in a way that we don't really see in other this in this type of role because she's not a human.
Yeah.
And to your point, like, yeah, I feel like the movie does a really good job in not shying away, in doing that still maintaining that sort of DreamWorks humor, but not shying away from the seriousness. I mean, come on, this is the guy who gave us Hippo losing a freaking leg in the first How to Train Your Dragon
Yeah.
movie. Uh, the moment, like, oh, she is not like, yes, it's an accident, but she murders this entire goose family. And I thought it would cut away, but no, they are very on point. Like, you know exactly what's happening. They bring
Hmm.
it back so, and they make it a point to, this is an important part of the movie,
Hmm.
and it turns into something that I think is very lovely and poignant in Brad Bill's story. But I do like the fact that the movie doesn't try to downplay the seriousness of what's
Yeah.
happening, even if it's still like a movie made for all ages and a movie with a lot of
Yeah.
humor, a lot of silly humor at times. Which, speaking of I think the humor worked for me a lot. I think like
It did. It really did.
the
Think.
dynamic, the fox and yeah, I
Yeah.
think works
Think
great.
was fantastic. And I'm not just saying that because of Pedro Pascal. Like it is, he just worked
It
way,
doesn't
he just
hurt.
worked
Doesn't
great. It
hurt.
doesn't hurt. No. Yeah. I I do want to know too, because like I think for me, so there is so much good at this. I don't think I have any real critiques. I think the one thing that I thought was interesting with this film was that like the food chain is like it's on full display constantly. Like you are aware that animals hunt and kill and eat each other. Like that is a core part of this. There's an entire sequence where they're just going through killing different animals for fate to eat. And it's funny because like there is what I like about it is that there's an assumption that children don't understand these things, don't see these things. And there is the way that they treated the audience, both the adults in the audience and the children in the audience, was with a lot of respect and with the they made it with the intent for them to understand it, but none of it feels like they lowered the bar. Nothing had to be over explained. And I think that that is the all ages media that we have been missing. I mean, and Ultraman Rising does it too. Like there is a very I look, Disney very
Yeah.
specifically has been very handholdy and has not trusted its audience, both its young audience and its adult audience in these animated movies, to understand what's happening, to feel empathetically for it without some song coming into it. Like they've relied so much on a formula that they've lost a lot of the heart that really drove forward franchises like Toy Story. And now I think what DreamWorks has done, and I think it's what they've always done with their children's animation, is that they have understood not a this is for everyone, but that this is and like I think these are two very things. Making something for everyone versus making something all ages. Because when you make something for everyone, you're making it for no one. There is no target audience. When you make something all ages, you are entering the narrative, understanding that you are catering to maybe three specific audiences: children, teens, and adults. And when you make something with them in mind, you're able to layer a story with characters that all of them can understand and relate to. And I think that that is really what this film hits home and gives me so much like reaffirmed excitement for Western animation that I haven't really had because I'm like, you can do it. Because like the bad guys I really loved, but
I
that
love it.
that
Yeah.
felt like a smidge away from being adult animation, not in a bad way, but like you could tell that they like it was all ages, but you could tell where they
Right.
were leaning to the most. And this I feel like it's gotten back to that core and like the roots of like what really made DreamWorks um super successful, like the Shreks and the How to Train Your Dragons and those pieces.
And I would say even before that. So one thing that as I was watching the movie, I was like, not only is this a great movie, but once again, not only is DreamWorks like kicking Disney in the face, like when Puss in Boots 2 came out, but also this is, I just keep thinking, oh, this is what Disney wish was.
Mm.
Because this is DreamWorks 30th anniversary. This feels more of an encapsulation of what DreamWorks was and their evolution, both in storytelling and visuals, than anything that movie did. Because to your point, like, yes, Bad Guys, yeah, it felt more of an adult movie, being kind of restrained to be an all ages movie. Puss in Boots 2 also felt more of an adult-ish movie
Hmm.
with stuff for all ages on top of it. This feels more of an all ages movie with adult stuff on top of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, which more than the Shreks and the How to Train Your Dragon, this brings me back to like their first movie. What's the first movie? Ants or Prince of Egypt.
Yes.
But yeah, to like that
But
era,
yeah.
like before Shrek,
No, you're right.
but
Yes.
like their 2D era with DreamWorks, which is my only problem with DreamWorks, like they buried that stuff. And they're like, hey,
Yeah.
remember our franchises? We're like, well, but before that, you had some great movies that still
Ants
stand
was
up.
good. Ants was very good.
Yeah. Like El Dorado, all of that stuff
Mhm.
where it had like all ages adventure movies
Yeah.
that has stuff for kids, has stuff for adults. This is what this movie is. And I feel like even more so than something like, well, no, like something like The Bad Guys and like in Puss in Boots 2, they're more of that era of storytelling for DreamWorks in terms of doing something for something that is not made for everyone, but that appeals to everyone.
Yeah.
And also visually, it feels like the next step from Puss in Boots, The Last Wish is the title of it.
Yeah.
In that a marriage of the two, they're doing the texture that feel like they're doing like paint brushes with the 3D in a way that feels like we're paying homage to where we started and when we are
Yeah.
now, compared to something that we that we're like, hey, we're gonna do like this weird filter thing that looks like I don't know, I don't even know. So I think that yeah, not only is this a great movie, but it's a perfect movie to be like what DreamWorks has been and what always set
Yeah.
DreamWorks apart as an animation studio.
No, I completely agree. And I think that like I called my mom after I watched this movie and I was like, Mom, you need to watch this. And you need to take Dad to watch it. And I think that like this is what I've been missing, like very specifically. And it's what Ultraman Rising also gave me this year. Like it's animation has been maligned to the point where there has not, in my opinion, been true thoughtfulness behind design. And I think that like there are hints of it. Like I loved Turning Red. I really loved Turning Red. I liked Encano. Like I think that there are these little pieces that work, but then you can feel the studio interference on top of them over and over again. And like even with what you said with Wish, like Wish was a like I still haven't seen it and I don't want to. Like and it, those feel like projects that could have been creative that were stifled by the weight of the machine they were made from versus and again DreamWorks is a big company. I'm not saying it's not, but this feels like something that was made with compassion and empathy and creative love for the medium and understanding that the medium itself speaks to more than just children and it always has. And I think that there is something to be said for a film you walk out of and you think, this is what animation is about. And I think that has happened to me 3 times this year. It's a Wild Robot, it's Ultraman Rising, and it's Look Back.
Yeah, yeah,
Those are my three where I was like, no,
yeah.
this is what you can do when you trust the medium to tell your story. And I think that that is what has happened personally. Um, I think my only critique, because I feel like I have to give one, because I can't give it a 10.
Oh, I
Because
have
I gave
not. Yeah.
because I gave Ultraman a 10. And I think that um no, I think my only thing is we spend so much of the film understanding the food chain and the circle of life and all those pieces that I think some of the coming togetherness of the animals on the island at the very end seem kind of forced. I think that they rectify it when you see how Roz is involved with things and like the very, very last sequence, but I do think part of it feels like too much. But that's really my only critique. Other than that, like it's a near perfect movie, like as near to perfection as you can get.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think like, and that could have been just a simple, like even a joke as a joke, like have one of the animals eat another one. Well,
Yeah,
haha, funny, but also, oh my God, it's true that back to that. I feel like that could have helped. My other only issue is not even like I understand why, but I personally didn't love the like having an actual like insert song during the
yeah,
flying sequence. I felt like, oh, and maybe it's because it's Chris Anderson. He was like, oh, this is the test flight sequence. They're gonna give me the big sort of like the highlight of the score. And no, it's just the song that they're trying to get into like the Oscar. Like, sure, I get it. Every animated movie, every movie needs to have like the best original
yeah,
song contender. I get why. I don't need it. It took me out of the movie for like a few seconds because we're so isolated, so out of sort of reality in a way.
yeah,
Um, the fact that there's like only a couple of shots that tell you, oh, this is like a distant future, like a there's something going on
yeah.
here. That was
And
very
I don't want
cool.
to ruin it because it was awesome to see it like
Yeah,
in like when it happened. But yeah, like there is a high sci-fi element to all of this that
right,
is really
right.
cool.
Beyond just a robot, an extremely advanced robot.
Hmm.
But so having that, then having that song, like, oh, never mind, yeah, this is like our reality, commercial pop songs, whatever. So I could have done without it, but otherwise, yeah, I feel like this is as near a perfect movie as DreamWorks has come. At least since like Puss in Boots 2, which I also love, but yeah, this movie is great.
I DreamWorks is fantastic at the end of the day. I think
Until it turns into a 4 movie franchise, and then we'll see how that happens. AKA Kung Fu Panda 4 is not the best, but whatever.
no, I
My review
think
is on
that
both wide dot.
it
Yeah.
is. It is. No, I think that I think that DreamWorks is where people should be excited for. I think DreamWorks is what people should be looking to. I think DreamWorks is where, at least for American animation. Um, and I think that it's going to be really interesting to see what they do next. And I also think it's going to be
Shrek
industry
5.
interest. Yeah, it's going to
It
be
is
an hey,
actually.
but I'm going to eat that up. Like I love
Oh
Shrek.
no, me
Shrek's
too. Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
No, but what I'm saying like with this is I do think that they have been able to present consistently movies, Kung Fu Panda 4 notwithstanding, um, that kind of push the envelope on what you expect the audiences for those films to love and take in. And I think that they've always been able to have franchises grow if they do go into I think How to Train Your Dragon, honestly, in my opinion, is their best franchise because I think it is a three-story even like the TV show was really good. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is I want to know what other animation studios here in the United States will learn from the types of storytelling that DreamWorks has been doing and DreamWorks has been hitting on. Because I think that if they take the right things from it, I think that we will only be for the better in like the medium.
Oh yeah, and even then, like, even like the Kung Fu Panda 4, the I can't think of another like franchise like that. But like in these obviously being this is based on like I think at least one more book, two more books. This is most definitely gonna be a franchise. But I do
Mhm.
feel like at the very least, there's a sense of they're trying. Like we
Yeah.
get some stumble, but at least like these are meant to be a franchise starter, but it still feels like the bad guys. I think I'm pretty sure they have like a second one in the works, but yet the first movie in the franchise it makes you want to see it become a franchise because they're well made and they have a clear vision
Yeah.
rather than just like, hey, we have the new character for a thing and then we're making it, giving it like fat picture
Yeah.
franchise deal out of the gate. At least how it should be. Like you want this to be good enough that people want to see more. And
Yeah.
I do want to see more. I don't know if it will hit as far as this one, but like I love these characters. I want to see more
Yeah.
Frink and Ross, which again, the cast, oh my God, the cast is good. Which you never know when you have, because that's one thing, like watching this and again, seeing like the historical context, I guess. So like this is a DreamWorks movie and like Chris Sanders, I told to him honestly about directing voice cast and how
Hmm.
he did Lilo and Stitch, it was an actual like cast of voice actors, like professional voice actors, without celebrities. And look at it
Hmm.
now when it's just like, oh, who's the biggest voice that we can get?
Yeah.
And yet sometimes it works. Like here it works.
Here works. I like this is probably one of the few times I've heard an all celebrity voice cast and not had an issue with any of them. Like it was all really good.
Here's
Yeah.
that you're like great. Like here's like you have Matt Berry being funny as a cranky old
Beaver.
creature thing. Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah.
beaver.
He was a
It's great.
beaver.
It's very funny.
Yeah. No. Okay. What are you rating it?
I think I give it a 9.5. I don't remember what I gave Ultraman. I'm pretty sure I also gave it a 10. So yeah, if I gave Ultraman a 10, then I gave this a 9.5.
Sorry, Chris Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I also gave it a 9.5. That is what I rated. My review is up on butwhythough.net right now if you want to read through all of that. I get a little personal because genuinely like I walked in and it was like this I don't want kids. This is whatever. It'll be fun. And then I was like I had to change out my mask because like it was just so I'm crying. So yeah, bring the tissues, go watch it
You can
this
find a
weekend.
goosling.
No. I have Leia, I have my dog.
You can just kill most of the goose family. Just take one and the remaining
No,
egg.
no. Anyway,
Yeah.
Raphael, tell people where they can find you.
They can find me on socials. Rafael Montemayor. I have stuff on what do I have? I'm writing about Rings of Power a lot. I have something the AV Club coming up this week. I have some stuff on the 10th anniversary of Star Wars Rebels coming up there as well in the near future. Oh, and excitedly, I have an article about the substance going up this week at GQ about the makeup effects for that movie because it's messed up and it's great.
Ooh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yay.
Awesome. Yeah, right now I'm covering Fantastic Fest. If you want anything coming out of there, me and my team have been on the ground doing it. We even reviewed The Apprentice. So you can go check out that stuff at butwhythough.net. And you can follow me on all my socials at Oh My Myth Frandier. Thank you, Raphael. And yeah, everybody go watch The Wild Robot. Like I don't know what else to
So
say other than go watch that movie in the theater. Do it.